Hello stream scientists, I'm Shelby and I'm the Environmental Stewardship Associate. At this station, we're going to take a look and identify some plants and determine how healthy this riparian zone is along Taro Creek. If you remember back to the Students for Salmon introduction, you may remember hearing that term riparian zone. Do you remember what that means? A riparian zone is an area of land that borders a body of water along just like Taro Creek. Today we'll be taking a look at two types of plants, native and invasive. A native plant has been in this area for thousands of years and have evolved to form healthy relationships with other plants and animals, including salmon. They help keep the waters cold, clean, and clear by providing shade, filtering out pollution, and reducing erosion. Non-native or invasive plants were typically brought here by other people from other regions, and they did not have a chance to evolve with other plants and salmon, so they can be harmful. They also don't serve the important functions that native plants do. They can spread quickly and overtake an ecosystem, and they can prevent native plants from keeping the waters cold, clean, and clear. Overall, having an abundance of native plants are important for a riparian zone, and they also help us determine how healthy they are. Let's take a walk along this riparian zone and identify and learn more about some of these plants. This invasive plant here is the Himalayan Blackberry. You can identify Himalayan Blackberry by looking at the sharp thorns on its stems, and the stems are typically purple and green and they have white flowers. This vine grows naturally in Armenia and was brought to North America over 100 years ago. The dark purple berries are edible and sweet and are used in baking and to make jams. All right, let's go and take some look at some other plants. So the next plant that we have here is a native snowberry. You can tell that it is a snowberry by looking at their white berries or their small flowers and their fine woody stems. Berries grow on the shrub well into the winter season and are eaten by birds and are poisonous to humans. People of the Chehalis tribe rub the berries on their hair as soap. Let's keep going and look at some other plants. The next plant that we have here is also a native plant called the Nukka Rose. You can identify these Nukka Rose by looking at their purple to red rose hips and also by noticing that they have small serrated leaves and thorns on their stem. Rose hips provide an important source of vitamin C in fall and winter to deer and many birds. Native Americans use bark and stems from the Nukka to make an eye wash for healing and improving eyesight. Chewed leaves can also be applied to bee stings for healing. Let's keep going and see our next plant. All right, so the next plant that we have here is a native ocean spray. You can tell that these are ocean sprays by looking at their egg-shaped leaves, which are hairy. Their flowers have a sugary, sweet smell. Ocean spray likes sunlight, so it is one of the first plants to grow in the riparian zone and to help shade streams. The strong, rigid stems are used to make harpoons and bows and arrows by native coastal people. Flowers are also used to make a tea to help with chickenpox and measles. All right, let's walk to our next plant. So this next plant that we have is a native plant called Oregon Grape. You can tell that it's Oregon Grape by looking at their holly-like leaves, and they have yellow flower clusters. Their leaves are spiny and leathery. These shrubs will grow up to be 3 feet tall, and Native Americans in the area eat the tart berries, but they are not very tasty, so they are often mixed with salal berries to add sweetness. Shredded bark is used to make a yellow dye. So the next plant that we have here is a native plant called the Western Red Cedar. You can identify a Western Red Cedar by looking at their flattened braided needle patterns. Cedars are long-lived and can grow to be over 100 feet tall to provide shade for salmon and keep the water cold for years. Native peoples of the Pacific Northwest call it the tree of life because it provides them with so many supplies. The fibrous bark can be peeled off in strips and used to make clothing, baskets, rope, and fishing nets. Its hard wood can be carved to make canoes. Now that we have seen some of the type of plants that can grow in a riparian zone, let's recap. Today on our walk, we found 5 native plant species and 1 invasive plant species. Based on these results, do you think that this riparian zone has excellent fair, or poor habitat for salmon. Overall, I think that this area is excellent habitat for salmon because we found a lot more native plants than invasive plants. So thanks for joining me on our plant walk today. I'll see you next time.